What is happening, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Why Did I Buy a Mini Truck? We got a lot of stuff done this week on Purple Stuff, King Cab Nissan Hardbody. If you're new to the channel, we've been building this truck for the last 11 months. When we got it, we are probably the, 12th, 13th owner of this truck. There were some stuff on there that we needed to fix. And, it happens from being passed down through however many owners. People take stuff off, people add things, people use it for parts. So we've been building this truck. Now, I wanted to bring this truck back to life, but I also didn't want it to be your regular mini truck, hence the wide body on it. And I know it's just flares and skirts, but there'll be a few other things. We do have a custom front bumper over there. So I recommend checking out some of our other videos so you can see some of the stuff that we've done. So today what we're going to be doing is finishing up installing everything on our interior. So if you take a look inside, you can see we have our back wall carpet in, our trim panels, our headliner, our door cards, our dash, pretty much everything that we've been slowly doing over this week just to get some running start on the work we're doing. We also got our back window in, which is very cool. Pulled off all the tint similar to when we did these side windows right here. We also got all of our Airlines routed, which is awesome. So I'm very excited about how it all turned out. Now you might be wondering why the Airlines are coming from the back of the truck. So I'll give you kind of the rundown. So up here in the front of the truck, we have these hard lines right here. They run from our bag down along the frame rail. There's a junction right there. That junction goes to a soft line that used to run underneath and come up through the floor. The easiest way for me to run these lines right now would have been to run a bulkhead through the firewall when the engine was out. It would have been a lot easier to drill, figure out a good spot. But I do kind of like the idea of just having one solid line that runs from the front bag all the way to the controller. So if you have any leaks, there's only a few spots it could be coming from. Be easy to diagnose, easy to get to, and easy to fix. On this side over here, our hard line's a little bit longer, and it actually runs down the side of the frame rail, and that's where the junction is. So it keeps it away from the header, and there's nothing over there that could potentially melt or cause an issue. And you can still access it by just turning the wheel toward the right, kick out the back side of that wheel, and you can have access to the connection that's right there. And I do really like how they come in through the back wall. There is a rubber grommet that it passes through, so you don't have to worry about any chafing on the holes that run back there. So our driver and passenger side come through, and they also come through the tank feed, and they all run right up under here to where the center console lower stack is going to be, with our Jack's 4-plate controller and our gauges for our bag pressure. I like how they run underneath here. We also did go ahead and put some trim around it just to make sure that we're not going to have any issues on both sides. You might notice that there are some bolts on the floor pan, and that's because we're getting ready to put our carpet in, and I'd like to have a guide to where all of our holes need to be cut. So we went ahead and got everything put back on our back wall. We're using a countersunk Allen hardware instead of the countersunk Phillips hardware. And I went ahead and just riveted an M4 riv nut on the back side of that. We do have our trim panel up here at the top and our headliner with our clips and our rearview mirror. Our visor hold downs. Now I'm not sure if we're gonna have visors on this thing. If not, we'll just use those to hang air fresheners. But we got our door cards in. Now, there's already some stuff I'm going to be changing on the interior. For example, the plastic clips that hold the doors on. They're notorious for like breaking or pulling through. These door cards are just like a pressed cardboard, so they're not super duper strong. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a kit that you use to make like inserts. Here, I'll show you guys. So this kit right here, this is a brass grommet kit. So I picked this up locally. What I'm gonna do, I think, is I might take the door panels off, and like every other spot where it would normally mount, I might put one of these through it, and then just use some beauty hardware to secure the door panel on. So it'd be like 1 and 2, and then maybe like 1 and 2, and then maybe 1 and 2, and that's it. So probably a total of 6 bolts to hold the door on. I think it'll look a little bit cleaner, and at least like you wouldn't have to worry about pulling the door card off and like ripping through those clips, or breaking them and then having a hard time finding them. I've bought probably 4 or 5 different sets of OEM style replacement clips, and I've only found a few that work if you modify them a little. So this should definitely save a headache in the future. Over here we have our RoadieFab center stack with our jacks 4-play and our gauges in it for our airbag pressure. Got the beauty panels all on it, and our center console right here. Same thing. So our beauty panels are Spanish gold flake, just like our wheels. And what I did is you can assemble these. Roadie Fabrication gives you everything you need to put them together. What I went ahead to do is a little extra step. I actually drilled out the areas where the rivets would go, and I put some 3M or M3 riv nuts in there, and then use these same flat hardware that I used on the side skirts, and I think it looks great. We've also got some other things that we went ahead and put in already. We got our Vive Air 444Cs installed. We got both of them mounted up. All of our plumbing is done. We are running our auxiliary air compressor tank combo right now, just because I'm going to be airing the truck up on Monday and moving it out of here to do some more deep cleaning inside the garage. So we also don't have any of the wiring done yet. What I want to do, the goal is this weekend, just to get the whole interior in, loosely mount the seats on, just to kind of get a feel, make sure everything's set up the way I want, make sure we don't have to drill any extra holes in our seat bracket for adjustment. And once we get everything in here, that'll give me a really good idea of, one, where everything's going to go. I already have an idea that I want to put the fuse panel back here for all of our auxiliary stuff, including our air compressors. But routing everything, making sure that we're not using a location to mount something that's used to mount an interior trim panel, and also just to see what room we have to run our wiring, like how we're going to run our main power cable that runs up here from our junction back to our battery. Same thing with our grounds. Like, this will just give me a better idea of where I can put things. I know that our Airlines are going to be good. They're not going to interfere with our carpet, but I want to make sure that all of our electrical stuff is safe and easily accessible in case we ever need to do any maintenance on it. So guys, that's enough talking from me. I'm going to get rolling on getting this carpet installed, and I will catch you guys as soon as we get done with that. All right, so we went ahead and got the carpet in. So the only thing about this carpet that I'm not a huge fan of, and it's really mostly my fault because the jumper seats used to go back here, is this part. We're gonna have to put something down. I'm just gonna probably put some black suede there just so you don't see it, but carpet is all down, so definitely putting these bolts here helps a lot when it comes to figuring out where everything needs to be. Got it all tucked up nicely over here, and then I went ahead and just cut a little hole out of the carpet on each side to go ahead and run those air lines up through there. So now that the carpet is all in, we're gonna go ahead and cut those pieces so that we can put some black suede down to cover that up. And then I guess we're gonna start putting this side trim in, and the little kick plates down here, and then the seats. So I will meet you guys back as soon as the seats are in. All right guys, and just like that, most of the interior for Purple Stuff is inside. So got everything in except for our little A-pillars on the side and the piece that runs across the top of the headliner. That's some stuff we're gonna have to wait for until I get it wrapped, but really a big fan of how everything turned out. I think it looks great. I like how I can reach the cup holders on our RoadieFab center console, so that's pretty nice. And then we got our shifter set up like that. So that's just set up that way. I'm not 100% sure if we're gonna run the knob or not, but might run something else. But it's set up like this so that I can go through all the gears and I don't have to worry about coming into contact with anything up in the front like the jacks 4-play or the gauges. So all that stuff is out of the way. There are 2 bolts that I don't have mounted yet on our center stack. It's not a big deal because it's gonna have to come back out. So we can go ahead and put our shift boot in here. As far as our seats go, I'm happy with how they are. They sit great. What I want to do is I want to drill another hole about a ½ inch up. I'm going to join both of them so we can make like a little slot so we can run the seat forward or backward depending on how you want to sit. It'll give a little bit of adjustability, but honestly, I'm fine with how it sits on the driver's side and the passenger side. Plenty of leg room. It's great. On the back side here, if you can see down in there on each side, we're gonna have to lay down that black suede. I'm just gonna wait to put that down in case I need to route anything underneath of it as far as wiring and stuff goes, but we're just gonna cut out a nice little square and we're gonna go ahead and just fill that up. You won't see it, should be good to go. As far as like the rest of the interior goes, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I have to pull the center stack out and the console out one more time when our shift boot gets here, so I can go ahead and get it all sewn out so it fills this little gap. Now, I got the new carpet in and the carpet was great. Required very minimal trimming, which was awesome. I do recommend though, if you can, don't be like me, don't cut your hole for your shifter so big. If I could have went back and done it the right way, what I would have done was just cut a 3-inch hole out of the carpet so that everything could come through. Not a big deal because our shift boot is large. It's like very big and baggy, so it'll fill that area really well. And I wanted to find a way to kind of tuck it underneath the carpet anyway, so this is kind of like the perfect setup for me. But if you're gonna run like a regular shift boot or whatever, this hole might be a little bit too big for you. Other than that, the carpet laid out fantastic. Let's jump over to the other side and I'll show you the driver. So on the driver's side over here, everything laid really great with the carpet. We got a nice little floor pad right there. Everything's tucked up really tight. Went ahead and got all of our plastics back on, our edge trim, all that jazz. The only thing I'm not super stoked about, and that I'm gonna have to change, is I have this strip that we put on right here. This is definitely not thick enough, so I'm gonna have to go and just grab the OEM one because you're gonna see that gap right there. And the downside is the OEM one is tan, so it's not black like this. Not really a huge deal. I mean, I could fill that with something so you don't see it, but we'll see what happens. So now that we got the interior almost completely put back inside of Purple Stuff, we can move right along to finishing up some of the smaller stuff that I have for it. I need to get a few more pieces in for us to build the exhaust, since we are going to be building it in 2.5 inch now instead of the 3-inch that we had, because the 3-inch unfortunately would not clear underneath. I had it up where it was pretty much touching the top part of the cab, or I guess in this case the bottom floor pan, and I still had about a ½ inch where it would hit the ground before the frame would. So in order to solve that, I just went with a slightly smaller diameter pipe. Kind of a bummer that I got to remake it, but it's also not a huge deal. There were some things about that I wasn't super stoked about anyway, so being able to go in there and get it fixed is going to be perfect. Now I did decide to go with lap belts on this for 2 reasons. One, a lot easier of an install. I just put it basically where the seatbelt straps were on the ground, so we had our buckle on that side before, and then over here on this side was the very bottom base for our regular seatbelt. On the upper portion of our seatbelt for our plastics over there, I don't know if you can see or not, but we have these little plastic grommets. They're just plugs, that's all they are. They're the same ones that I use to block off things that I am not going to use, or also to cut little holes in through to pass wire. So definitely recommend picking up some of those if you're going to do this, or something similar to this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to call it a day, and I'm going to come out here tomorrow. I got to clean the shop up. We got to air the truck out, get it out, get a bunch of stuff cleaned. We have a windshield coming to get installed in just about a week or so. So I'm really excited about that. We still have like to run the wiring harness, so I have it through the floor because we put the carpet in underneath that runs back to our taillights. So it's just on the ground right now. When we air the truck up, I'll pull it over and I'll kind of wrap it up so it's out of the way. We'll get that routed out to our taillights, and get it wired into our fuel pump. When we wire our fuel pump in, that's probably going to be the next video, is we're going to be working on the fuel cell. So we're going to install that Evil Energy 15-gallon tank that we picked up, along with our support that we had fabbed up previously. And then we're going to go ahead and get a strap made and get the tank all buttoned up, route our lines up here to the front, and mount up our fuel pump and filter combo and get it all wired in. But that'll be its own video, because we're going to go over some things. We are going to use part of our factory harness and also part of a custom harness we're going to build in order to make sure our fuel pump gets accurate voltage and doesn't have any issues with overheating or being underpowered because it has too little of a current going to it. We're also going to have to get ahead and button up a couple things like our brake lines. We're going to have to finish routing them underneath, make sure they're nice and secured. And then we're also going to need to go ahead and figure out where we're going to route our air compressor wiring through. We'll get all that stuff buttoned up. We need to tighten down our rear shocks. All very little easy things now that we get to finish up. So with that being said, guys, I appreciate everybody watching. Thank you guys for following along with our build. Oh yeah, our taillights are on right there too. I just have them mocked up, don't worry, they're not bolted in or anything. But I appreciate everybody watching, thank you so much. I think you guys are all awesome. I'm surprised so many people are enjoying the build. I can't wait to get this thing outside. I do also think tomorrow, and I might make us another video for this, but I think we're gonna get the tailgate on tomorrow, and we're gonna get that Roadie Fab tailgate spoiler with all of our stuff that we just got back from Powder Coat. And as a matter of fact, I have over here some of the brackets that go to our tailgate for our supports. And I got a couple of our supports over here. They're just a satin black powder coat. Nothing too crazy. Our wing is the same way. So we're going to get that put on tomorrow. So I'll probably make that its own little video. But like I said, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying the build so far. And I can't wait to see this thing get out on the road with the front bumper on, get it all buttoned up. It is going to be exciting. Get out there, get those projects done. Until the next one, peace.